talking about Sunday Oliseh's revealing interview. Of course, Sunday Oliseh, Super Eagles legend, somebody that did great things as a player for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and of course, has also coached the Super Eagles, in 2017. Sunday Oliseh had some words that were not so nice, spoke about the NFL, spoke about certain players, and also, to be fair, had some nice words as well. But for the purpose of today, I'm probably going to focus a little bit more on the not so nice words that he had. So let's start with Mikel Obi. Mikel is a legend of Nigerian football also in his own right. A player that's, fantastic player, won a lot of things with Chelsea, of course, won the AFCON in 2013 with the Super Eagles as well. But I think it's not news that John Obi Mikel and Sunday Oliseh are not the best of friends. We've always known that they have this beef with each other. Mikel Obi has maybe said some words about Oliseh in the past, and in this interview, Sunday Oliseh said some words back about John Obi Mikel. So, in case people did not hear, let me just let you know. Obviously, I'm shortening it because it was a long conversation, but I think what stood out to me when asked about why he, was not able to gel well with Mikel and what he thinks needs to happen. So he said, I think Mikel needs some help. He said he can call me and I can advise him. The problem that he had with Mikel when he was the coach of Super Eagles is that he did not think Mikel was good enough to play in that position at that time. He said, I even thought that there was a home-based player that was better than him in that position. And he mentioned Paul Onobi as the home-based player. That he played him in the next game. I can't remember who we played against. Was it
Eswatini?
Yes, and that even the opposition coach came and said that Paul Onobi was the best player in the game. So, Smilai, let's tackle that first. What do you think about Sunday Oliseh saying that he did not think Mikel was good enough to play in the Super Eagles midfield at that time?
So, I like Sunday Oliseh, legend of the game. I love him so much. But sometimes there is a recurring decimal with these 94 sets. When they see other people coming up, they try to belittle them and tell them that for what have you done? We have done it before. You must be able to also appreciate what they did. This guy you're talking about is not good enough. He was one of the best players during AFCON under late coach Steven Keshi. If we forgot that, he won the Champions League then around that time. See, so to come and say, the issue was that the away game in Swatini wasn't one of his best games. But you just throw, I don't know where that one is coming from. I don't think that he managed the decision very well, would you say? Because he cannot come and say that he was wrong. That is one thing. Until we can now explain what happened in Eswatini. That's why he didn't actually play well. Don't forget that Mikel doesn't like to play under Astro. That I want Mikel to come out again and be able to actually explain those situations very well. In my own opinion, I just think that is the two of them were not like best of friends. So if they say that they are falling out, say this, it's like match that's a marriage is not meant to happen. We were just find themselves in the in the Super Eagles because of Nigeria. The Polonobi that say play well against Eswatini. After that game, which game again the Polonobi play for Nigeria well? Because all those things we have to. He's trying to justify his inclusion that that's the reason why he dropped Mikel. After that Polonobi game, after that game that they played, what did you know about that Polonobi? That is it. See, the issue is this. I know that 94, they are one of the best players we've ever had, but they should also show respect to these people coming up. You don't show respect to them coming up. You cannot just rubbish what they did. It's really, really unfair. For my own opinion, it's not as if I'm trying to here to come and talk like what Oliseh Ashiwo did wasn't good. in my own opinion, I just think that it wasn't managed well. It wasn't
Hmm.
managed. It wasn't managed well. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I also found it a bit laughable, for him to say that Mikel Obi was not good enough to play in the Super Eagles midfield. I mean, we all know how good Mikel Obi was as a football player, for both club and country. So one bad game should never be enough for you to just determine that a player is
Mm-hmm.
not good enough. But for whatever reason, that wasn't the case. But before he got into that talk about Mikel not being good enough, he also spoke about something that happened once he took the job as the Super Eagles head coach. He said once he took the job, that of course, we had just failed to qualify for the last AFCON
Mm-hmm.
under Stephen Keshi in
Mm-hmm.
2015.
Mm-hmm.
So he said once he took the job that the NFF told him that, see, the reason why we did not qualify is because we have some problematic players.
Mm-hmm.
And he named the problematic players as
Mm-hmm.
Vincent Nyama, um, Mikel Obi, and Emmanuel Emenike. And he
Mm-hmm.
said the NFF told him that he should not call these people to the
Mm-hmm.
team. You know, um, we've obviously always heard about NFF trying to impose players, trying to punish players that maybe offended somebody or disrespected somebody. But suddenly say now has come out and say, oh, they blatantly told me not to call these guys. What do we think about that? Very quickly, what do we think about that?
See, why are they problematic? Because they are senior players, they ask for their rights. Anybody that's asked for his right is problematic.
Hmm.
You know, Olise too was problematic because he was the only player that could stood up then and ask for his right.
Hmm.
The late coach Stephen Keshi too proud and problematic. Why? Because he also asked for his right.
Hmm.
Because Olise knows the system very well. He knew that those people did not do anything. They were just trying to throw them under the bus. That's the reason why you see him trying to actually talk to them. See, the issue with NFF is this: is so complicated. You already know what they want. For example, now
Hmm.
I remember that Ekong wasn't getting called up because they asked them not to call him. Like you keep on having issues with player because a player can talk. Why?
Hmm.
So, in my opinion, I just think that then what happened then was that I think Amaju Pinnick was trying to tell them to restart afresh. That they doesn't want those things that happened before to happen again. Young players, at least you are grooming them now. They will not be able to ask for for
Hmm.
anything and everything. But was it not the same thing that Genetro came in and cleared all the mess?
Hmm.
The Mikel you're talking about was a true member of Genetro's team in his
Hmm.
formative, like in the early years. So, in my opinion, I just think that it's just selfish interest. When you put people that don't understand football, that's what they actually would come up with. They had
Hmm.
issues with you. Why can't you just sit down with them, talk to them? But because
Hmm.
of pride on one side, you cannot settle this
Yeah.
amicably. So, in my
But
opinion, yeah, continue.
no, I was going to say, but just to Olise's credit, he also said that even though they told him not to call those players, he told them no, that he wants to get a chance to speak to them first,
Mhm.
hear from them, and try to convince them to be part of the project. He said he drove to Enyama, spoke to Enyama. He said he called Mikel, texted Mikel, he said he set appointment for Mikel and Moses to come and talk to him. That Moses showed up. Mikel never replied any of his messages, never called him back, never showed up to the meeting. So Mikel also, he has some fault here. Because he should. I mean, if your coach calls you, you should answer now. And he also said Emenike, was one of the best players that he ever worked with. So so yeah, let me see some other thing that he mentioned. We cannot cover everything, and I know people are saying, "Oh, I should go into some more detail," but unfortunately, because of time, I cannot talk the whole story. It was 1 hour interview. If I start to talk the whole story, this live will not
We
end, or
will
will not be able
we
to.
discuss
We
it
will
more.
not. We will not be able to bring you guys on. But something else that he mentioned, he spoke about unpaid salaries. I won't go into that one too much. We know that NFF normally they always owe money. But he mentioned about the current Super Eagles that he feels that there are several players that are being called up to the Super Eagles that are not good enough to wear our jersey. That's what the coach said.
Mhm.
Smelai, do you agree with that statement that there are some players right now that are in the Super Eagles that are not good enough to wear our jersey?
100%. I agree with you. I agree with him. 100%. In fact, some people should not even be in our top 50.
Hmm.
And they're starting the Super Eagles. I don't want to mention names because of the platform of EaglesTracker, but there's some players they are consultancy players.
Hmm.
They are not meant to even taste be in the national team. See, the issue is this. I would normally say these things. Sometimes these guys are privileged. To get clubs nowadays might not be that hard. But I can tell you that you can clearly see that this guy they don't have what it takes to actually be in the Eagles, in my own personal opinion. So I don't want to mention names, but I think Uzi was spot on. Only few players merited being in national team, in my own opinion, that actually were there now. Some are not even there. And one is one of our regular defender. It's not meant to be national. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Smidlai is shaking some tables. You know what? I will say this. It will be hypocritical of me to come and say I disagree with that sentiment. I disagree with that statement because I've said it on live even myself in the past that in my own opinion they've watered down what it means to be a Super Eagles player. You know, when I was growing up, the way I used to look at Super Eagles players before maybe I started understanding more about how NFF works, about how football works. To me, when I see anybody in Super Eagles, in my mind, automatically, this guy is one of the best players that Nigeria has to offer. That's how I used to look at them. When I was watching the JJs, the Kanus, the Obafemi Martins, the Babayaros, the Nyamas, I looked at the Yobos. In my mind, these guys are as good as it gets when it comes to Nigerian footballers. But right now, with all due respect, there are some players that is like me say if I go and train small, maybe I can even be I'm joking or before anybody gets offended. But there's some players that I'm like, how is this guy just getting called up? Sometimes they will say, oh, his base is close to the training camp, so let him just come. Sometimes they'll say, oh, we want him to move to another place. Sometimes they will say, oh, we want to give him exposure. I'm like, Super Eagles nice for exposure. Things like that. So I would definitely agree with that sentiment that it has definitely been watered down what it means to be a Super Eagles player. But I hope that these things can change moving forward. Okay.